The question you ask is about essentially modernity and globalization. And it's very clear that modernity and globalization both have a European origin. And that in a sense, the planet has become Europeanized. Here in North America and South America, we have a complicated mixture of Europe, also of native peoples, and also of Africa, also of Asia increasingly. But many of the doctrines about communication and about politics, which are spread throughout the world, have a kind of European origin. So I don't think that we can deny the sort of global spread of European ideas and institutions, thanks to imperialism, thanks to capitalism, thanks to many other things. But globalization is uneven, and the spread of these ideas meet all kinds of contradictions and disjunctions. And I would argue, obviously, even within Europe, there are very important kinds of contradictions. Like the liberal ideas about free speech are strongest in historically Protestant countries. Because in the Protestant countries, this is where book literacy and the printing press were most developed, and where a kind of holy status is given to the book, to the Bible, and then to the newspaper, to the dictionary, to literacy in general, in which civic participation is understood as a kind of critical rationality. That to be a citizen, you have to read, you have to write, you have to argue. And I think that in France and in Spain and Italy and Greece and in Catholic Europe and in Orthodox Europe, there are very different understandings about what it means to be a citizen, which are more based in ritual, more based in performance. Certainly if you look at Latin America, the way that free speech is thought about is quite different than it is in the United States or in Canada. So I think it's important to recognize that globalization is uneven, and that when we think about Islam, for example, as a participant in the global public sphere, it's important to see that these tensions are tensions which, as I said before, are old ones. I have a historian colleague at the University of Iowa who did fascinating research about the debates in the United Nations about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And he found that there were different blocks around the world, different geographical and intellectual blocks. And so the Protestant countries, the Anglo-Saxon countries in particular, the United States, England, New Zealand, and Australia, believed in an absolute liberty of the press and an absolute liberty of speech without any restrictions whatsoever. He found that in Latin America, for example, as well as countries such as India, that people had a very different vision of freedom, which had a more positive vision of the dignity of the human being, of the need to respect the nation, the need to respect society. And so it's easy for liberals to put down this point of view and say that they don't respect freedom, when in fact I think it's important we recognize that they have a different understanding of freedom, and that liberals should not pretend that they occupy the high ground, that they are simply neutral. I think it's important that liberals recognize that they are fighting it out with other people, and that this fight which was had in the United Nations is a forerunner, it's a harbinger of the more recent debates about religion in the public sphere since 9/11 or since in the past 25 years.